Hey guys, good morning. Michael Bland with SIS Global Investigations. It's been a very long while since I made a video for a channel. There's been something that's been weighing on my mind. Everybody's been watching all the videos on YouTube and social media about the migrant crisis, terrorists coming across the border, people on terrorist watch lists, being positively identified. These same people basically giving refuge in the country, giving free Medicare, free food, free hotels in sanctuary cities like New York City, giving 3 square meals a day. I mean, being provided services that our own veterans and our own retired police officers like myself are not even privy to, not even close. And the topic I'm talking about here is safety. And I just want to basically warn all people, all Americans. This has nothing to even do with political sides anymore. Who's Republican, who's Democrat, if you're pro-Trump and pro-Biden. I think the thing is, and I also think that, well, at least hopefully, people on both sides are realizing the level of danger that we're actually talking here. I can tell you, share some personal stories of things I encountered in law enforcement over the years, involving everything from guys who were foreign guys we caught that were either a suspected, a possible terrorist or a possible spy, videoing bridges in St. Louis, to our own domestic guys that were potential threats. But always through history, when I was in law enforcement, we always had people coming across the borders. Traditionally, the guys you normally encountered were the guys that were just coming across for a better life, yes. And a lot of people get these things all mixed up and confused and twisted and turned around. But yes, America has always been the land of dreams, opportunity, where you can come to. I've traveled to the Middle East and Egypt, Europe, done private investigations, and had, when I did that trip, I really saw how poor other countries really are compared to the U.S. A lot of people here that are in poverty are basically millionaires compared to people in many other countries. In Mexico, South America, Europe, the Middle East, everywhere. If you're making $29,000 a year in the U.S., you're doing far better than people in a lot of countries. But you also always have your people that are coming here that, hate American ideology, hate religion, hate all of our beliefs to the core. And on top of the fact, even since the 20s, 30s, and 40s, we've been being infiltrated by, communist parties, people infiltrating our way of life, trying to destroy our religion, trying to destroy our economic system, trying to destroy our beliefs, our core beliefs, trying to infiltrate the government by obtaining political positions, and making us have infighting from the inside out, dividing us, which has already successfully been done. A person can't even date now or meet someone in person on a networking app or anything without first clarifying which political party do you belong to. I've never thought in my lifetime that would even be a thing, but now, even when I meet people through my own private investigations business, I personally don't give a shit less about people's political views, but I've learned that there's these little weird nuances and tensions there many times, because people sometimes even ask you in business or meeting people, try to avoid these religion or political topics, but everything's fully politicized. I've even seen where federal law enforcement is being more and more politicized. You got the ATF being used as the tool to go out and harass people over, trivial little gun parts. I mean, when you got crime raging in the cities with guys with full auto Glock switches, full auto AKs, full auto ARs, grenades, military weaponry, yet they're just running rampant. So You have the ATF getting wrapped, or the FBI getting wrapped up in all these political investigations all the time, just because you have politicians' names involved. When again, there's far, far more. There's so much going on, and there's so much also being covered up when these politicians are doing stuff. But, you know, back to the actual safety, you know, the border topic. I was just watching a video on the YouTube channel Vlad TV. He was interviewing Nicholas Irving, who was, you know, known as the Reaper, Army sniper, and was talking about, you know, basically if he was a bad guy coming across the border, what he would do. And the thing is, it's actually what prompted me to make this video, because the thing he said was a thing I always said as a cop. You know, you learn a lot of things and learn what it would take to just cause total pandemonium and chaos and terrify everyone and just shut everything down, including the economy. And I was always saying that, you know, a handful of guys in all major cities simultaneously, or a handful of guys in every state at the same time even. I mean, we're talking only 5 guys in all 50 states simultaneously. If they were to launch a synchronized attack, even the amount of chaos that would literally cause would be incomprehensible. And he was literally just making the same exact comments, stating that, you know, if just 5 guys went into a church, 5 guys went into a mall, you know, and like he said, the biggest punchline is that we're talking far more than 5 guys at this point. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people that are currently in this country. They have caught many of these people seeking out training, obtaining weapons, going to ranges, shooting, and basically, you know, positioning themselves in places, possibly doing reconnaissance, research, surveillance, you know, getting their strategies down. And it reminds me of some of the movies you've ever seen, like the medieval movies, or when they used to battle face to face with swords and stuff. And they always talk about holding the line and don't letting anybody getting through the front line. And if you do, once you do have somebody break through, then you have total chaos, because now you're fighting the guys in the front, and then you have these guys in the middle here of everything, which is not good. So it's like we're already in that scenario. But again, we don't have 1 or 5 guys getting to the front line. Again, we have hundreds of thousands of people who basically have, many of them have ill intentions, from cartels, these violent gangs coming from other countries, people with military training, terrorist training, basically all the above. And many times these people also join forces together, because as they know, they're stronger in numbers, and versus just being alone. You know, there's safeties in numbers, whether it's good guys or bad guys. They obviously know this, so they have a lot more power. And whether it's transporting people, transporting weapons, just backing each other up, whether they're helping each other, sharing intelligence with each other. So the thing is, what I'm really getting at here ultimately with this is that people don't really have any idea the threat level we're really at when it comes down to it. And this is not some, you know, video to provoke fear and panic, but people became so numb and oblivious. They're actually have us, the level that they have most people so desensitized and asleep to this, of how concerned they should actually be, to me, is the scariest part. Because we're talking guys that are into the prepping, preparedness, survival, like myself. You know, and even myself, I've reeled myself in before. And, well, do I really need an AR in my car? Do I really need an AR in my truck? Do I need a bug out bag? Do I really need, you know, 3, 6, 8, 10 mags of rounds for something to pop off and happen? You know, funny thing is, it's like went from this scenario of a few years ago of the guys doing this, people thinking the guys like this are crazy or far overreacting. And now, honestly, if you're that guy, even if you've got the AR and the 10 mags in your car or truck gun, you're a business guy, you've got a go bag in your car and you've got something in there, something, a backpack gun. Funny thing is, you might not be armed enough, because if and when something does pop off, again, it's not going to be an active shooter scenario. All the experts have all agreed whatever happens, whatever's coming next is going to make 9/11 look like a walk in the park. So the level of stuff, the level of training, the level of gear, the level of preparedness is a whole different level now. I mean, you have no idea what's even coming. And of course, that does make it hard to prepare for. And the only way you can mitigate those things is just to do as much training. And I mean, you can't go, there's different levels of, having gear or actual preparedness stuff. I mean, you don't need 20 guns in your car. You don't need 500,000 rounds of ammo in your car. You really don't even need that even in a permanent bug out scenario or cabin in the woods, whatever. If you have to have that much stuff, then some guys, it just gets into an ego or testosterone thing on who has, the biggest gun room. But any amount of tactical training you've ever do or talk to people that also know what they're talking about, you don't necessarily need that much stuff. But if you can afford it, and sure, you got your bunker, you got your bug out place in the mountains, and it's a big elaborate setup. I mean, hey, go for it. But most people can't afford that. Also, most times it's probably not going to need something that huge. But I just think that people, I really don't think people are very much so asleep. And, whatever is going to happen, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to prevent it. The only way things can be prevented if people are very aware and very hyper-vigilant, and they see something suspicious vehicles, suspicious people, hanging around infrastructure sites, hanging around, state capitals, any strange activity at all, I think, even also more so nowadays, should be reported, even if you are, no matter how little of a thing it is. If you see guys going into places with, fortunately, some guys that are like maybe terrorists or maybe military trained guys, like they say, it's kind of hard to get the gung-ho-ness out of some of them. A lot of them like to wear the 511 clothing, tactical clothing, OD green clothes, all black clothes, all black backpacks, military haircuts, G-Shock watches, tactical looking watches, tactical looking boots, the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they carry themselves. Usually they'll be in better shape than most other people in some cases. And because we do have foreign actors coming over, they could be speaking foreign languages. And you also never know. Don't ever assume also that something I learned a long time ago in law enforcement, because we didn't have much training in anti-terrorism or recognizing things like that. But something you have to be very open-minded of is, as a civilian, law enforcement, whatever your title is, if you see some guys that are suspicious, and let's say that they may be speaking German or some type of language that maybe you can't even discern what the language is, but they're clearly not Middle Eastern, or they're not Chinese, but they are speaking a language, or maybe it's just a Canadian accent. You can't go by that. You can't go by the sex, the race, the language. When I was younger and I was a cop, and 20 years ago, and we were dealing with a lot of stuff, and then there was 9/11 happened, and they were putting out all these wanted bulletins on guys related to the 9/11 stuff, and they were Middle Eastern guys. And so you just always had in your head that was just a lack of training on our end, lack of education. But as I'm older now, and I've been in, like I said, in this investigations game for 30 years, you get more intelligent, you get wisdom, you get training, you get educated, and it doesn't matter if the people are suspicious, they're suspicious. It could be a terrorist coming from any walk of life. You could have guys team up, and they could have guys from Haiti, a guy from Germany, a guy from Canada, a guy from Somalia. It doesn't matter. You have to be very open-minded. And again, you have to listen to your gut also, mainly. If you see people sitting around in airports, in malls, anything, if they don't quite fit in, if they don't really quite look like they're really shopping, maybe they're people watching, they're checking things out. Like I said, they got a duffel bag, they got backpacks, they have stuff that looks like it could potentially be carrying weapons, explosives, some type of dangerous, some type of weaponry, some type of suicide vest. You have to be cognizant of all of this, and you can't be in this awareness level where you're extremely paranoid all the time, but you have to be right there in the middle. And nowadays, with the way things are, a little more in the upper middle, honestly. But again, not paranoid of everybody and everywhere all the time, and not oblivious to just walking around on your cell phone. If you're in a mall, an airport, hospital, also, just like a lot of times in the airports, they're strict on, not leaving baggage laying around. Could be an explosive. But anywhere, if you're at a marathon, just like happened in the Boston Marathon bombing, if you see people leaving a duffel bag or backpacks on the ground and then walking away or quickly getting out of the area, especially if you say something to that person and they continue on, there's something majorly wrong. I would be getting out of that area extremely quickly. I would also be contacting law enforcement, trying to remember or get a picture of the baggage on the ground, get a picture of the guy or video of him. If he gets in a vehicle, get his license plate. Have things to be able to give to law enforcement. And, unfortunately, and unfortunately, there's some dark agendas going on here. And again, it gets into politics then at that point, discussing this. And I don't see how anyone could really feel like we haven't been sold out at this point as far as that goes. But all you just keep hearing about is them finding Chinese police stations in the U.S., Chinese police stations in Canada, literally watching, doing surveillance, and literally harassing Chinese citizens in the U.S. and watching over them, and God knows doing what else. Chinese spy balloons flying over military, nuclear, civilian infrastructure installations. Now we have movies all coming out about the end of the world on hacking and EMP strikes, and then we have them actually happening 2 weeks later exactly. AT&T went down across the entire country. Of course, they couldn't agree on a reason. The FBI came out and gave some pretty startling revelations on the news, warning everyone about China already having Trojan horses and viruses installed, and not just military, but civilian sites that could take down civilian infrastructure, water, electric, and gas, killing millions of people. Literally, the FBI came out and said this. So that, to me, it was all mind-blowing. My advice is, in this semi-short video, is that you honestly can't be prepared enough. And I think the days of the guy that was the prepper looking like the crazy guy is honestly kind of ironic. Now the guy is looking like the hero. I would find people you follow, like Sean Ryan podcast, who's a SEAL and CIA operator. Some of the Nicholas Irving videos, he's talking about a couple of things on the Vlad TV YouTube channel. There's some guys out there that are very, Tim Kennedy, who's the MMA celebrity and Special Forces sniper, has some good videos. Some of these guys I follow, I try to listen and follow people that have experience and know what they're talking about, and then I try to surmise exactly what I think is going on with all this. I also combine that with my own ideas from 30 years of investigating, being retired law enforcement, and honestly, I don't think you can be prepared enough, guys. So, all right, God bless you all. Keep your head on a swivel.